Welcome to DC Economics. So I'm going to take you through the concept about techniques of production. So techniques of production, these are the methods which are adopted in order to produce commodities. There are several techniques of production that are involved in production. That include labor-intensive technique, capital-intensive, and land-intensive technique of production. Under what is known as labor-intensive technique of production, this is the production techniques whereby more labor is used in the production process than any other factor of production. So it may be a target of a manager or a producer or a owner of the firm to apply more labor-intensive due to the fact that he or she are not capable to meet all the input factor of production that should be sufficient for enable the large production or expansion of production. Or it may be if the issue of lowering cost and so forth. So the advantage and disadvantage of labor intensive includes, let's begin with the advantage of labor intensive. It creates high employment, both skilled and non-skilled laborers, since more laborers are needed in order to make the production successfully. But also it leads to the fair income distribution in the society. Income is distributed because those who are lower incomes give out their power, and enable to earning different income. It reduces cost of production as labor, especially in the less developing countries, that to apply labor in production is very cheap than capital. It widens tax base since those who are employed earning income and pay taxes to the government. It reduces importation of capital, but also it is cheaper to develop and mostly affordable. That is most applied in developing countries. But also it reduces the problem of unemployment, since most of the skilled and unskilled laborers are employed and enable to earn a sufficient income to enable to meet their required needs, but also the sustaining of life together with paying tax to the government. Here are the disadvantages of labor intensive. Under labor intensive, one among the demerits is that low quality of output may be produced. This is because most of the laborers are employed, some of them will find that they are not actually educated. They are not skillful to apply efficiently techniques that enable to increase or to maximize output. It may discourage development of labor skills, but also it deters technological development. But also labor may demand high wages or salaries. This may be the effect. Let's jump to another technique of production, that is capital-intensive technique of production. Capital-intensive technique of production, this is a technique of production whereby more units of capital is used in a production process than units of labor. So you find that a company or a firm actually relies on the use of capital than labor, the use of machines, and so forth. One among the advantages of capital intensive is that it creates employment opportunities. Employment opportunities may rise due to the economies of scale. When I speak about economies of scale, is whereby the firm seems to expand output to increase production of output while minimizing cost. So these are the advantages that firms obtain after expanding the production capacity. But also it leads to increasing output and quality, since the initial apply of capital actually involves a less supervision of an individual to control the machine to produce. So a machine is a robot, cannot get tired as a human being, so it can actually perform a great job than a human being. But also it maximizes the use of resources. But also it reduces labor unrest. But also less supervision is needed under the capital intensive, since the capital can operate it with a single person can operate each and everything. It encourages technological development, but also it reduces cost of production when labor is expensive. So let's jump to another technique of production, that is before that, let's talk about disadvantage of capital intensive. It reduces demand for labor, hence it may cause unemployment, since most of the laborers will be suspended out because of replacement of capital. But also it may be very expensive to operate and control capital. But also the maintenance of capital sometimes is costly. Maintenance of capital is sometimes costly, which may lead to problem of marketing, since of most of the efficient use of capital cannot get a sufficient connection to human being or to laborers who are the parts of allocations of market. But also, let's jump to a land-intensive technique of production. So, land-intensive technique of production is the technique of production whereby 1 unit of land is used in the production process than units of other factor production. The advantage of this is that it requires great supervision of land to bring the required output, but also it may lead to the creations of employment since land needed supervision. So thank you, this is DC Economics. I welcome you to watch on other videos. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye bye.